Hey there, welcome. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome back. Hope you had a good Mother's Day weekend. I certainly did. Did you get something nice, or did you get your wife something nice? Because if not, I'm talking to some people right now. You may be fine, but some people I'm talking to right now in the doghouse. That's where they're at right now. How's the weather out in the dog? You don't have your own thermostat out in the doghouse, do you? All right. Also, Monday, new week, back to court for Donald Trump. The Trump trial's back. This time, Michael Cohen is taking the stand. And Carolyn Leavitt, President Trump's national press secretary, is back on the James Show. I'm glad we didn't scare you off last time. Thanks for coming back. What does the guy listening to us need to know about the trial today?
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me again. I'm actually calling you from the courthouse here in Manhattan. The trial is in session. I'm hanging out in the hold room outside watching it on the live stream. And we just have more lies. It's another day of this trial where the prosecution has not convinced anyone or proven any type of crime. And it just shows that this is a sham show trial in the middle of the media capital of the world. The Democrats knew exactly what they were doing when they brought this trial forward. It's a travesty of justice, and it's just such a shame to watch and to witness.
All right, Carolyn, I'm going to be talking to a lawyer later in the show. I'm going to ask him the same question, but I'm going to ask you first. I've heard Donald Trump say this, and I've heard other people say that we still don't know what the crime he's being charged is with. Is there some sort of rhetorical game you're playing? Because actually, I got tired of hearing that, and I tried to look it up, and I couldn't find it. What is the crime here?
Well, Alvin Bragg's team, who, by the way, Alvin Bragg is a far-left district attorney here in New York, who's funded by George Soros, one of Joe Biden's biggest donors, but he is prosecuting President Trump with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Now, we've been sitting in this dirty courthouse for 4.5 weeks, and they have not proven one falsification of a business record. Alvin Bragg had to do legal gymnastics to try and string this case together. The prosecution likes to talk a lot about salacious claims from the past, from 8 years ago, but they are not talking about evidence to prove those 34 felony counts. And the reason they're felonies is because the misdemeanor charge on the crime that Alvin Bragg is having a hard time prosecuting, the statute of limitations ran out. So therefore, he bumped it up to a felony. You know, this case is so weak that Alvin Bragg's predecessor in the district attorney's office, Cy Vance, even declined to bring it forward. Joe Biden's own Justice Department declined to bring it forward, as did the FEC. So it just shows that there is no crime. They have not proven a crime at all. President Trump paid a lawyer for a non-disclosure agreement. He filed it as a legal expense. There is absolutely nothing illegal about that. And that's why the prosecution is struggling every single day to try and prove to a jury that President Trump is guilty of something, because he's not. He's completely innocent.
So I was trying to dig the answer to the question out there. Is the crime falsifying business documents? Is that the name of the crime?
Correct.
Okay. So why does
never took place.
Okay, but why does Trump and other people say that we don't even know what the crime is? Like, we don't know what the charge is. Like, do they not know, have like the statute number or something missing?
No, because we are also in the indictment. It goes into, they're trying to link the falsification of business records felony charge here in New York with a federal crime, and they have not identified what that federal crime is. You can't prosecute someone for falsification of business records unless they were doing it for a greater purpose. Okay. And we don't know what that crime is.
I see. We don't know what the falsification was linked to. I see. All right.
Correct,
well, yes. That clears up some of the stuff that happened today. What was Michael Cohen saying?
Well, I wish I could answer that question for you, but unfortunately I can't, due to the unconstitutional gag order that has been imposed by this judge. We are not even allowed to talk about the witnesses in this case, nor can we talk about the witness testimony. And I know that sounds so
Even
outrageous.
You as a surrogate can't talk about it?
Me, as President Trump's spokeswoman for his campaign, no, I cannot talk about it. That is how ludicrous. You are think about this. You are a radio host simply asking me what a witness is testifying against my boss, and I am not even allowed to speak of it. They could throw President Trump in Rikers Island in prison, which the judge has threatened, if he or anyone who works for him talks about the witnesses in their testimony in the case. What I can tell you is there's been more lies spewed. We expect that our defense team will cross-examine the witness tomorrow, and I would encourage your audience to tune into that.
Well, we won't be able to ask you about it.
No, you won't, which is absolutely ludicrous. It's a complete violation of my First Amendment right and certainly of President Trump's First Amendment rights. And that's the problem here.
Well, isn't there kind of some obvious, sorry to interrupt, isn't there some kind of obvious imbalance? Because I see Michael Cohen, like today, he posted a TikTok before he went into the trial. He's like, hey, about to be a witness in the Trump trial. Just wanted to update you on what's going on in my life. Do you like my gray sweatshirt? You know, he's allowed to talk about it.
Well, exactly right. There's people involved in this case who can make TikToks, who can go on every cable news network in America, who can lie about President Trump, slander him. They can wear T-shirts that have him behind bars. And that's how they can tweet that they want to see him go to prison for the rest of his life. But the president cannot defend himself from those attacks and the lies that they are spewing. It is really that may be the worst part of this entire case, is not only that there's no crime, there's no evidence to prove it, but that they are then silencing not just the former president of the United States, but the leading frontrunner in this election. Let's not forget, we're in the middle of a campaign season here. You know, it's my job to defend the president. That's what I was hired to do, and our rights to do that are being violated. It's ludicrous. All
right, Carolyn Levitt, thanks for coming back on the James Show on WBAP.
Thank you. Wish I could answer your questions more deeply.
Well, whenever that gag order is over, we'll have you back on. We'll just ask you again.
Oh, definitely. Right. We'll have a lot to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right. Do you have anything to say? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. This is the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I think a lot of people that listen to this show get it. I think that you get it. Because the real injustice of all of these trials, not just the one going on now, but the other three in the other jurisdictions, is that we're having to spend so much time talking about this. We shouldn't be spending 1 second talking about what happened with Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. What was that, 8-something years ago? We shouldn't spend 1 second. You know what we need to be talking about today? We should be talking about, hey, consumer price index just came back out and it's going up again. In fact, it's about double. The inflation gauge is double where the Fed's target is, and I think the Fed's target is ridiculously high. So, hey, your inflation's still roaring. We're going to talk about that? No? We're going to talk about the viral video of another trans person killing someone. Did you see that one from Houston? No, see, these are stories that they don't want to bring up. They don't want to talk about it. Wait till you hear that story. Because when we talk about the things that we should be talking about instead, it's worse than you think. But to the phones we go. I want to hear your thoughts on what's going on with the trial. 800-288-9227. Joe in Weatherford, you're on the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.
Yes, thank you very much. Glad to be on. It is just so disheartening to see our country going down in this whole process with DOJ. We must get rid of Biden. He is the worst president, and he has done nothing but weaponize the whole United States against people that are only trying to protect the United States. He does not care about the United States. He does not care about anything of this, and neither does George Soros or any of the people that have been a part of this whole sham.
Okay, but do you really think that Biden is the worst president in American history, or are you just saying that for hyperbole?
No, I was old enough to when Jimmy Carter was in, and I believe that Biden's worse than Jimmy Carter.
Well, let me throw you my guess on, or my take on who the worst president ever is. It would be FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He instituted so many of the problems that we have today with our government. But not only did he oversee the worst economic record of any president in American history, the bulk of the majority of the Great Depression was from him. He also had one of the worst foreign policy records at the same time. So economy, foreign policy, terrible. And if you don't think his his foreign policy was good. I mean, the rise of Hitler and Mussolini, World War II, and Stalin, and I mean, it didn't get worse than that. He also has a terrible record on when it comes to race relations and some other cultural issues. Not only was he cool with segregation and Jim Crow and all that, he literally put a Klansman on the Supreme Court, Hugo Black. He did the internment camps for people based on their race. So, I mean, when you look at economics, foreign policy, and then cultural sort of race issues, easily the worst president. Joe Biden looks great compared to FDR. So I understand you don't like Biden. Maybe he's the worst president of your lifetime or the worst president in recent history, but the worst president ever, I can't take that serious.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. FDR was really bad.
Well, listen, it's important. We don't have to lie to make people understand that he's not the better choice in November. And when you do that, you turn off some of these people who are squishy, who are considering, voting the other way. And they'll be less likely to listen to you if you just sound like a hater.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Haters not going to get it done. We need solutions. And I'm still worried that I think because Joe Biden's senility and age and everything like that, I think the Democrats are probably going to replace him. I think that he will not be the one that will be running for office. I'm still
open to that theory that Joe Rogan said it'll happen in May. Some other people are saying it will happen when the convention, they'll switch him out at the convention, which is July, I think. So we'll find out soon, Joe. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ron, calling in from Oklahoma. You're on 820 AM now, 93.3 FM WBAP. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's a farce, too. I agree with everybody. I want to let you guys know, the whole country, that the government each state has rescinded your 10th Amendment rights from their state constitution. And that's why these judges in New York and these lawyers are getting away with what they're getting away with Trump. Trump's case and everything that's happening is a very good example.
Okay, so explain the 10th Amendment thing, because I'm not sure if everyone understands that that's the thing that says everything that's not expressly given to the federal government here is left to the states and the people. So how does that apply?
Right. The 10th Amendment deals with our sovereignty and our sovereign rights. And without our sovereign rights, and the 10th Amendment reaffirms our articles, our Constitution of the United States, and all of our sovereign rights. And when they rescinded it, each state, then they revoked your sovereign rights, even in our Article 4 courts, which we have today. And it was our Article 3 court, and when they created the Constitution, that gave permission to the Article 4. They created the Article 4 courts to protect our sovereign rights.
I'm not sure if anyone is following any of that. We don't know the difference between Article 3 and Article 4 courts. Are you just calling in to make everyone think that you know a whole lot that we don't know and you're so smart?
No, I'm not claiming that at all. I'm just a plain average guy. I'm an American citizen.
Well, you sound like you're more well read on that part of the that nuance of the subject than I am. So I appreciate you adding the 2 cents there, Ron. I hope that wasn't over everyone's head. It was maybe over mine. Martin in Euless, you're on the James Show, News Talk 820 AM now, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I just want to thank you personally, because you're doing what the media, and I mean all the media, is either unable or unwilling to do, which is to talk about stuff that needs to be talked about, one of which was the court hearing that you had played. I want to say it was either Wednesday or Thursday, where it turns out that there was 364,000 mail-in ballot images that have accidentally gotten lost, and yet we're dealing with this idiotic trial in New York. So personally, I want to thank you for actually bringing us the news, because I spent the weekend trying to find somebody to talk about this, and nobody has. So thank you.
Yeah, so I don't even have to be that good of a host. If I could just bring you the stories that you really want to hear about that the rest of the media is ignoring, I'm going to get decent ratings just because they're not doing their job. This is what he was talking about.
Does the investigation confirm that there are missing ballot images?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know why 380,761 ballot images from Election Day machine count are not available?
Well, it's because they would prove that there was fraud and it would overturn the election and make them probably all go to jail. Thank you for reminding me about that, Martin. I guess I'll keep playing that. I might be the only guy here, but yeah, that's the Georgia State House. That's they had an investigation, and the findings, there were no findings because they're missing 380,000 ballot images. That's not suspicious at all, is it, Martin?
Not at all. No, it's just a pure coincidence.
Right. They were probably all Biden ballots anyway. Dang it. All right. Coming up next, I'm going to go through some of the stories that you are missing, and your mouth is going to drop all the way down by your brake pedal. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome back to the big show. Trump trials are continuing in New York City. The Stormy Daniels case had Michael Cohen as the featured guest of honor today. That's not what they call him. I know it's not what they call him in court, but it's a show. It doesn't even feel like a real case. It feels like we're watching a TV show. It feels like I'm watching maybe a Dateline or maybe whose line is it anyway? It just doesn't feel real. Jeremy Rosenthal back on from TexasDefenseFirm.com. Tell me about the new takeaways from today's Trump trial.
Today is when, things got real. Michael Cohen took the stand. They threw one last witness on the stand who authenticated or just kind of showed the jury that it was valid a tape that it sounds like Cohen had recorded of Trump back in 2016. Nothing that Michael Cohen says is new because we've been hearing it for 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, that's been the whole play of the prosecutor was to paper cut Trump to death with all these little details to try to corroborate Cohen. And then when Cohen takes a stand, the jury's already kind of heard it. They're laying some predicate stuff with him, talking about this home equity loan that he took. So pretty exciting that Cohen was on the stand. The tape sounds kind of bombshellish. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know these days. I mean, news doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to be breaking, right? But what Cohen actually talked about today seems kind of pretty dull relative to everything else.
So what is this taped recording?
So apparently he taped Donald Trump in September of 2016 within the last month. It sounds like when I'm reading this taped thing was about the McDougal, who was the Playboy model, not Stormy Daniels. And they talked about to Cohen and Trump talked about setting up some kind of a shell corporation. Trump suggested paying in cash, and then the call ends. And I think that's the defense kind of cut into that. Well, why is this call ending? And they speculated maybe there was another call coming in. So that's the substance of it from what I understand.
Is this going to, if you were in the jury, would it change your mind?
I don't know. The whole thing is about Cohen, right? Because all these financial records, all these documents, all these witnesses, they all lay up. If you believe it equals a crime. The only way they can put Trump's fingerprint on it is through Michael Cohen. So if it corroborates Cohen, even if it's incomplete, it may help the prosecution here potentially cinch the deal. Then again, I don't know about you. I don't like, I wouldn't like having friends who record my phone calls. That's not nice, right? And it tells us what we already know about Cohen is that he kind of sucks as a friend.
Ooh, yeah, I would guess so if he's on the stand against you in court. Not best friend material. Jeremy Rosenthal, is he the last guy for the prosecution?
He's close. If there's somebody else out there, there may be one or two more. I think I think the state's gonna rest this week, and then Trump may have witnesses. We don't know. The defense doesn't have to disclose that. There's not a lot of advantages. There's not a lot of strategical advantages to defending folks, but you don't have to present a case at all. The prosecution has the burden, and you don't really have to disclose whether you're going to call 50 people or one person or 3 people. So we don't know what Trump's planning for his defense. And then again, we've still got the question, does Trump take the stand on his own?
Yeah, so I was about to ask next. Yeah. Does Trump take the stand?
We'll see. You know, I think that guy knows what he wants to do, right? And statistically speaking, you get convicted more when you take the stand. However,
Really?
I would remind it, yes, but that's and where I'm going with this is it's a bit of a kind of it's a misleading statistic, because a lot of times when you testify in your own defense, it's because you're screwed. And so a lot of times, so to say that well, people who testify in their own defense lose more frequently, well, yes, that's because their cases were harder, which is to say that so there are some times when a person can get up on the witness stand and talk their way out of a conviction. That can absolutely happen. Or if it's in a borderline case, that can happen as well. Any lawyer is going to tell Trump not to do this, but I think we all know that the guy's going to do what the guy's going to do, right?
Jeremy Rosenthal, do you think he's going to take the stand?
I think it depends on how much coffee he has in the morning with him. I think if I was his defense team, I think I certainly throw that pump fake out there and say, no, he's testifying. Make one of their prosecutors prep for him, right? And then you know, kind of utilizes or misdirects some of their resources, and then if he doesn't testify, then he doesn't. So I would play it no differently than they're playing it. But again, I mean, and it's going to depend. I mean, if I'm his lawyers, I'm sitting him down and I'm saying, okay, if we get up there, what are you going to say? Right? What points? Not. You know. I mean, we know that you think this is a witch hunt. We know that you've said it. You've said it a million times, and that's all fine. Okay, but what about Michael Cohen's testimony? Can we really, really knock out if you take the stand? And if there's something out there that's really good, maybe you put him on the stand.
Do we know any of the other witnesses' defense plans to call?
No, not yet. They don't have to disclose it. There's been some speculation that there's some Trump insiders that may take the stand. Again, if they do, it's going to be to kind of loosen some of these things, right? Because the money trail's the money trail. And this case has been 90% of establishing that money trail. But the question is Donald Trump's fingerprints on this, or can they prove that Michael Cohen went rogue? So if you're talking about somebody within the Trump organization that can really throw a lot of tea on Michael Cohen, or you know, maybe specifically rebut some very specific things that he lays out this week, very possible that you see some folks come and take the stand from Trump's standpoint.
All right, Jeremy Rosenthal from McKinney's Best Law Firm. You can find him at texasdefensefirm.com. It's Rosenthal, Calabus, and Therian. Thank you very much for being on the James Show again. And if you go to texasdefensefirm.com, you can see what he looks like. There's a picture of his face on the front page. Just laying you out there, Jeremy.
That could break your computer, but thank you for the plug, James. Always great.
Hey, and thanks for sharing out my stuff on social media. I really appreciate you putting that content out there with me in it.
Man, you know what? Getting the word out.
I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get. All right. Any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on Rosenthal's take, his reporting? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.